Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Summertime's coming up. Got a lot of things to do, probably places to go. You need things done while you're gone. Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can help you with that. Meal prep, pet sitting, shopping, unpacking, packing, whatever you need. Go to simplydoneconcierge.com. Tell Mary what you're looking for. She'll be able to take care of you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns. There are 33 chapters, approximately 650 members, and our goal each week is to help each other grow their business. So our local small business success story this week is Riley Jordan with Riley Jordan Events. She is in RDO2 Cary Connections. They meet Monday mornings at 8:30 at Hope Community Church on Buck Jones Road. Riley is new to BNI. Riley, how you doing this morning?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Glad to have you on there. So Riley Jordan Events. I think we've been on for a while. You're either the first or the second, but I think you may be the first events person. But I have to go back and look. Uh,
Okay.
we we don't do a lot of events. We don't do as many as we should to recognize people. But there's all
Mm.
kinds of events, and I know you're new in that world on your own, not running events and doing events. You have a nice background in that. But what was the draw to put up with people who aren't playing nice or something that goes wrong and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think that that is just a factor of it, right? We always have that aspect of it. Starting my business really was the point of being very selective with who I was working with, even down to the vendors and the venues that I chose to work with. So I think that that really helps eliminate a lot of those problems.
And were you coordinating things as a teenager, as a college person, as a toddler? Were you coordinating things around the house? Is that where you got the bug?
I don't know if it was so much coordinating, but if it was just naturally overthinking and worrying about all the details. So I think that that's for sure where it started. That's always been a thing. And so definitely always was like that, whether I was supposed to or not. I have a lot of sisters. And so I was
Uh,
three out of four. So everybody else really had a lot of a say. And I would always be like, are we sure this is the right time to leave? And I'd always just be thinking through those things. So that's been a lifelong thing. And then as far as planning events, my family did a lot of celebrations. And so just naturally being a part of that and love seeing just like the memories that you could create. I think that's the best part of the event.
when you started when people started coming to you for advice on, hey, even a simple thing, did that kind of spur you on? And once one person asked and then told three people, oh, Riley really helped me with this, did more people pull you aside and go, hey, I'm thinking about this, what do you think?
Yes, very much so. I did a lot of volunteer work for events, did a lot of chamber type of events, working with like the local municipalities and different advisory boards, things like that. But even aside from those, still friends and family would send me pictures and
Mm.
ask if this looked right or if I had recommendations for a certain venue that would work for their type of event.
And in certain professions, we forget that that's a really big thing to someone. And that may be the 45th of those events you've done in a calendar year. And you always have to keep remembering that this is a what could be a one off for them. And you want to treat it that way.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm sure you've had, so have you done weddings?
Yes, I have done weddings.
Do you
Um,
like doing weddings?
I am torn with the weddings. Okay, so I did my own wedding and I loved that. Obviously, I loved that, and I was worried about that. And I absolutely loved doing that. And I love the fact that I'm invited into such a special moment for people. It's not
Mm.
just somebody's birthday party necessarily. Like every event is so special, but the weddings sometimes have a different perspective on them. And working with these clients and their families is truly wonderful. But I steer clear from the weddings for the most part as far as full service planning because it's very, very intensive. And a lot of times when you are in the event world, if you kind of get pulled into the wedding industry, you I think you get a little bit more stuck as far as weddings. And I do a lot of corporate and social events. So I wanted to be able to move around a little bit more than being simply a wedding planner.
And I've learned that from other industries that work with weddings, be it photographers, videographers. It's a love or hate relationship
Hmm.
with weddings, especially with photographers. I can't imagine from the photography side taking all those pictures, knowing what video, what shots the bride and the groom want, and then having to
Hmm.
edit all those. Ugh.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
all right. So walk me through this. Then you're walking to here's the picture in my head. I get interested in funny things. So I see you walking down the aisle at your wedding. Tell me you're just thinking about you and your new husband and not, all right, photographer's in the wrong place, videographer's good, this will work out good.
Yeah. No, honestly, I wasn't worried about that at all. I wasn't worried about any of those details. I remember planning the wedding, and everybody would say, "You won't remember it. You won't know. You're going to be happy and present at the event." And I was like, "Okay, but I feel like that is true for a lot of people, but that's not the way that I operate." So I felt like I would notice. I did not notice pretty much anything. I couldn't tell you what people wore. I couldn't tell you if my all the centerpieces were correct. I couldn't tell you any of that. And I remember even that day really thinking, I'm going to look for that. And I just was so caught up in the moment that I didn't look for it.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yes, it was very nice. I didn't notice anything. There could have been a lot of things wrong and I
Yeah.
didn't notice.
You've done so you help with you do full service for events, you do
Mhm.
day of planning, and you do event
Mhm.
consulting.
Mhm.
With all the different events, with all the previous jobs you've had, and we'll get into some of those, is there a common theme of what people have to have, be it the food, the right I mean, whatever it is, or have you found a kind of a theme there?
Yeah, I think overall, regardless of the type of event, the number like the two top things, I think number one is always the food. Pretty much always the food. They're really concerned. They want to make sure that there's plenty of options for their guests, that it fits the overall vibe that they're looking for. And then the second one is just the atmosphere of the event. A lot
Okay.
of places really want to focus on if it's a more formal event, then we want to make sure that that is carried through completely. But if it's just a little bit more of a laid back, people just want to have a fun celebration with their family and their friends, then they really are focused on the atmosphere more than anything.
I like when people pick their food, not from a menu to go, oh, everybody would like that. But our oldest son, Travis, and daughter in law, Sarah, at their wedding, it was catered by their favorite barbecue place.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's the way to go because, I mean,
Yeah.
we're in North Carolina, but I mean, who doesn't want barbecue?
Right. Yeah. Right. I think so too. I like that because it's also another way that you can really see the perspective of who you're
Mm,
celebrating and who the focus is of the event.
yep. So full service, the day of, the event consulting, any of them kind of really stand out? Is one kind of more your favorite than the other?
I think the full service planning is probably my favorite because I like to be able to sit down with the client from ground zero. We have
Mm.
nothing started, and then go all the way through the post event, everything that needs to be wrapped up, and really being able to see the progress that has taken place. I love that part of it. Really, just being able to help come aside them and dream of what they want and kind of put that into action for them.
Do you prefer me, the client, coming to you with everything scripted out, or me, the client, saying, Riley, we just want something fun and festive and dancing?
I like both. I like the direction. I'm a rule follower naturally. So if you tell me exactly what you want, I will copy your list and I will make sure it's exactly what you want. But I do also enjoy the flexibility. Sometimes I like once you really learn your clients and you kind of understand what the event objectives are, then I like to be able to kind of go through and have a little flexibility. And sometimes, depending on the event, you can surprise them and add a different flair to
Mm,
it,
yeah.
and really be able to show off that creativity side.
Yeah, but and that's why people should call someone like you because we do not think to that third level. We think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we've always wanted to do something in this venue. We kind of know what food we like, but they don't think down. So I that's what I think that's one of the reasons why people pay you is to go, oh, we never thought of that. That's great.
Right. Yeah, dance lessons, like, I mean, everything where people don't even know some of the options that are out there to
Yeah,
include to their wedding,
yeah.
or their event, anything. Mhm.
Have you heard some good bands at events you've put together?
I have none that I can remember the names of, though, to be completely honest.
That's
But
good.
I follow a lot on like Facebook and Instagram stuff, so I can keep up with them. But if I'm doing a few weddings and they are sold on which bands they want, so a lot of
Mhm.
times the clients already know exactly who they want to
Yep.
perform at whatever event we're doing.
Yeah, I have a running my family calls it a running joke. It's very serious to me because, I went to the University of Tennessee, so my
Okay,
favorite song is Rocky Top,
okay, of course.
and anytime a band says, "Hey, we take requests," I go up there, "Do you know Rocky Top?" Right? So one of my oldest son's high school friends was getting married, and we're at Jeremy and Alex's wedding, and the lead singer of the band goes, "Hey, we're taking requests." And I saunter up the stage. My wife is just rolling her eyes. And I walk up and said, "Hey, do you guys play Rocky Top?" And the dude looked at me and says, "I've been told not to play that song." And I looked at Jeremy, my son's friend, and he is doubled over laughing because he knew exactly what I was going to ask for. Because
That's so funny.
I probably 30 at the time, maybe, and I've known him since he was 15. So
Mm.
yeah, they know. So,
They knew it.
but yeah,
They had to slide a little extra tip over there to make sure they didn't play that for you.
yeah, and then we were on New Year's Eve. One of our longtime friends. We had four families in Daytona Beach where our boys grew up.
Okay.
Each of us had, or yeah, each of us had two boys, and one of them was getting married. And so during one of the breaks, I went up to the lead singer of the band. I said, "Hey, you guys know Rocky Top? The groom's father," which is true. The groom's father would love that song. And he goes, I don't know about that. He got with the band. They pulled it up on whatever they read word on their teleprompter, whatever their
Okay.
app is for that. And they did a great job on the spot of that. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's a lot of fun, but I know there's always line dancing, right?
Right.
And slow songs and just stuff like that. So, but I enjoy that. Uh,
Yeah, that's fun. I like that story.
Oh yeah. So one things I like about you, and we haven't known each other that long, but I'm always intrigued by what you do and events and stuff like that. Good to hear. I think it's good to hear your rules follower. I may noodle on that one for a little while, but with
Okay.
events, it's legit because if the bride or the groom or the host wants blue cake and nothing else on the blue cake, it better be blue cake with
It
nothing on
better
the
be
cake.
right.
No matter what you think, right?
Mhm.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. And you just
Yes.
nod your head. Oh
I just
yeah.
got it. Yeah. What
Y
color blue? What shade
eggs
blue? And we'll
see,
be good to go.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, I like that. You launched this company while you were a student at Wake Tech.
Correct.
Cool
Yeah.
story. So how did that come about?
Okay, so I've been involved in events and I've loved that. And I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't necessarily feel like I really ever knew how or what I really wanted to do with that. So I went to Wake Tech's hospitality management program and I loved it. I learned a little bit more about the hotel events, just lots of different events. Our professors were wonderful about bringing in a lot of people in the hospitality world into our classes. And so we really got to hear from multiple different perspectives. And I knew that I should go ahead and start this while I'm in school, while I'm finishing
Mhm,
up. So I started my business in the fall and I just graduated in May. So right when I was finishing up with school, because I knew that the connections that my professors had, people that I was meeting in school, it was really, really a great opportunity to go ahead and start putting my name out there and start building these connections back then.
yep. It's a great resource to have. I know it
Hmm.
answered, like a good event planner, it answered questions. It gave you answers to questions you hadn't thought about yet.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, good.
Definitely.
And the more you did it, the more you got excited about it.
The more it did, yeah.
All
So
right.
far, it's been good. Yeah, but
Do
it was really nice.
Yeah. You don't have to give names if you don't want. I'm assuming you remember your first client,
Hmm.
all right?
Hmm.
And how nervous were you?
Very nervous. Yeah.
Did the
Very,
ev-
very nervous.
did the event go well?
Yes.
All
Went
right.
very well. I was more nervous for the consultation call in the beginning than
Ah,
I was for the event. I know I can work the event and that's fine, but as far as the other back end types of
yeah.
things, that part had me more nervous than running the actual event.
What of the number of events you've done so far, have you done something new that you hadn't done before leading up to this business? A type of event?
Um, I'm working on an event right now that is new to me. It will be a golf outing fundraiser, and that's new
Nice.
for me.
Yep.
and I'm excited about that. I've seen them, I've heard about them and everything, but I've not officially been a part of one, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Keys to that are good either live or silent auction items,
Mm,
because usually for a cause, people are willing to donate. And if
mhm.
you can get those good prizes and make sure the event starts on time, the carts are ready when they all get there, and they can buy mulligans. So they hit the ball in the lake. They can, I bought a mulligan for $8. I'm going to use it here.
Yeah,
And they're happy on that. So, but there's a
that's
lot of, yeah, I put together a couple of those, not to your extent, but been involved with them. And there's a lot of details that go into that.
no, I appreciate that help. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really
Yeah.
great, but that's definitely a different avenue for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about, for guys, it's all about winning.
Mm,
So you're
mhm.
going to find a couple of stacked teams where I'm pretty good, but I always like leaving a tournament with hardware. So I'm going to go find my three friends who are better than me. We're going to
Mm,
stack, we're going to load a team up, and we're going to win so we can brag to our buddies. We shot 28 under. Here's our prize. And the prize could be, $10 to Dunkin' Donuts. It doesn't matter, but they
yeah,
want to go to work on the next day and go, hey, me and my buddies won another tournament. So,
it's competition for
yep,
sure,
yep,
definitely.
yep. So anything you can do to help people have better scores, like the buying the mulligans, and and then there's always the guy that's going to brag about hey, longest drive again. That's 3 tournaments in a row. Fine, Billy.
Right.
Congratulations. So yeah,
Good for
but yeah,
you,
with
right? We'll be
guys,
ready.
it's in sports, it's about the ego.
Mm,
Yep.
mhm.
And then so if there's a good award ceremony or a take home for the winning team, something like that, it's just for guys. It's all about the bragging part. So I wish you well, and they're a lot of fun. Generally, they're for very good causes, and they do raise good money.
Mm,
And
mhm.
hopefully that'll be a recurring event for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, once the first one
I hope
goes.
so too. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So as I do intel on my guests, I like to go to the second, third, and fourth page of Google and just see what's there. And you need to work on some things because I really couldn't find a lot. So that's my ask of you. So next time you're on, there'll be something for me to find that's like, oh,
Okay.
did you know? So I sense a lot of outdoors in your life
Mhm.
with pictures and descriptions and things like that. Where did
Mhm.
you grew up in North Carolina?
Yes, so I grew up in the Wilmington area
Okay.
and loved it. I spent a lot of time with my dad. As I mentioned, I have 3 sisters. That's a lot of girls in a household,
Yep.
and there was a lot of drama, there was a lot of emotions, so I spent naturally a lot of time with my dad, and we did a lot of things, or if I could steal my mom away for a little bit, that would be perfect too, but me and my dad were just buddies, so we spent a lot of time outside, hunting, fishing. I rode horses a lot growing up, so we did that. I would help him on, like, little projects around the house, so really anything outside that got me moving, that was always great.
All right. There's your next event to create.
Mhm,
Right, because there's plenty of archers and hunters, and
mhm,
you could I don't know if it's a mini rodeo, I
mhm.
don't know if it's a local equestrian event or, something like that, but yeah, I mean, that's your wheelhouse.
I know, I think that would be fun. Recently, I was in a Facebook group and somebody had reached out looking for a mechanical bull for their event. I was like, I don't even know if that's normally what I go for, but
Yeah,
I would love to be your planner because that just already sounds
yep.
like a lot of fun for whatever reason. That just sounded fun. Yeah.
I think if you find that mechanical bull, that may get you the job, right?
That might. I know,
Yeah.
right?
But again, somebody finds there's different kinds of humor, and I think that's one of those things that goes over well with a small portion of the group at an event. There's like, 10
Mhm.
or 15% of the people like, "Oh, I gotta try that," and the other people just stand there
Mhm.
and laugh, and,
Just
uh,
laugh, right? Yeah.
yeah, just see who falls off and how quick, and then they, give them some grief for that, but I like that.
Mhm.
Uh, Another thing I found out about you, which I'm amazed, preschool teacher.
Yes.
How long did you do that?
So I taught preschool for 4 years, all the way
Alright,
up until COVID, actually. So COVID shut
yeah.
down, as you know, everything, and our school shut down then.
Alright, so, tell me if you've been through this before. We were in Charlotte last week, babysitting our almost 6-year-old grandson and almost 2-year-old granddaughter while their parents went
Okay.
out to play for a couple of days, which they had deserved. And I went to lunch Tuesday with Oliver. And I met him as his class was walking into the cafeteria. It's been years, Riley, since I've been in a school cafeteria because our youngest son is 34. So it's been at least 28 years since I've been in a
Right.
kindergarten lunchroom. And I thought, okay, I'm just, again, and I am easily entertained. So I couldn't wait. So I'm looking around. They're very well behaved. And after lunch, I walked back to Oliver's room talking with his teacher. I'm like, that was organized in that lunchroom. I don't know if I've ever been in one of those. She said, "Oh, did you see that short lady in the room?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, she scares everybody." And so the students wouldn't get up. They would raise their hand, and one of the volunteer parents would come around and answer their question.
Okay.
Was it that way with you? Did you have that type of lunchroom? And did you like lunchrooms, or you couldn't wait to drop them off and go get your 25 minutes apiece?
Right. So actually, I was a part of a half day preschool, so
Ah,
we were done before lunch. But
okay.
my nieces and nephews, when I do go to their schools, I am very grateful that we didn't have lunch
Yep.
when I was working because that is pretty chaotic. Even if
Yep.
it's well organized, that's a lot of kids and a lot of
Yep.
moving pieces and noise. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have 3 sisters.
Three
Do any
sisters.
of them have sons yet?
Yes.
Okay. How old
Yes.
is your oldest nephew?
My oldest nephew is 15.
How many nephews you got?
Two. I have two
Okay.
nephews and two nieces right now, and then I have
Alright.
one other niece that will be here in August.
And you're no doubt favorite Aunt Riley.
For sure.
Favorite Aunt
Definitely.
Riley.
Yeah.
Is Riley a family name?
No, Riley is not.
Mom and dad just saw it somewhere and went, "Oh, we like that."
Yeah, so, actually, but my dad has a lot of boys on their family. My family was the first ones that started having girls, really. So my dad, after 2, I was number 3, so he really thought this was gonna be his boy, like, everybody in the family has boys. Um, and I didn't cooperate on the ultrasound, so they just couldn't tell. I'm pretty sure I was a boy. My dad just everybody just thought I was a boy. So they thought I was a boy. So when I came out and I was obviously not a boy, they didn't have a name set out for me. They didn't know. So it took them a few days in the hospital to come up with Riley, and I'm pretty sure it came up off the TV screen
Yep.
um, in the middle of the night one night, and that's where
Yep.
Riley came from.
Yeah, and I think back in the day, it may still be true today that the baby can't leave the hospital without a name. So,
I think so. I think that's why I was there. I mean, I think I was there for 2 or 3 days,
um,
just
yeah.
waiting for the name.
And I'm
Yeah,
wondering how long they tell the parents, "You 2 have 6 hours.
right.
We
I
need a
know.
name."
Yeah.
But so I'm sitting there with Oliver, and this is kindergarten. So these are 5, almost 6 year olds. Some, probably half of them are 6 years old. And one of his buddies in another class was sitting behind us. He goes, "Hey, Oliver." We both turned around. Oliver turned around. And the guy pointed his friend. He goes, "Hey, he just farted." And then here come the guy. Even in kindergarten, they're laughing. I thought the three of
Right.
them were going to fall out of their chairs laughing about that. So, yeah, so with your nephews, it's with guys. If it was seen on the Three Stooges, we'll probably laugh about it for years. So,
Right. Yes.
but it was interesting, the organization and teachers get nowhere near the credit they deserve
Mm. Mhm.
because you are. So I don't know. So, okay, well, this is a good question for you then. All right, so Amnon and I are probably a little bit older than your parent. Just let's go with that, okay?
Okay.
All right. So in our generation, our parents never believed us. They only believed what the teacher said. So if
Mm.
the teacher said, "Well, Mike looked sideways at some kid the other day," and got back to my mom and dad, there was no discussion. "Hey, quit doing that." You
Mm.
know? Was that the same for you? We're different generations. Same for you growing up. Did you get a say so in defending yourself? Because we did not.
Um, I don't know. I think we probably did. I think it was more so if we're going to do that, then let's not do that at school or don't do that to the teacher, right? Like that's something if we're going to make those
Mm,
faces or whatever at whoever that is, it's different if it's at home versus there. But like I said, my three sisters, so I have two older sisters,
yeah.
and they took a lot of the trouble
Yep.
for us. So I was quiet. I'm the rule follower. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of things. So I knew a lot of ways to not get in trouble just by watching them.
My sister, I have an older sister and a younger brother, and we're 3.5 years apart. And I learned same thing. I watch them as like, wow, they're always arguing with my dad traveled. So I'm like, wow, they always argue with mom and they always get in trouble. Huh. Let me try not arguing with mom. And I
Right?
skated right through. And
Yes.
your older sisters probably still refer to you as, "Oh, Riley, she's the favorite."
Yes, definitely. And I never really got in trouble. So definitely a different dynamic, but I learned because I just didn't wanna be like that.
Yep. And my guess is by the time now, what's the age difference between you and your youngest sister?
A year and a half
Yeah,
difference.
okay. I think by the time she got there, your parents were so tired, they just gave her whatever she wanted.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. It's like you grew up with us, yeah.
Yeah, same thing with my brother. My mom was so
Sure.
tired because my
Yeah.
my dad traveled every so Monday he left on Mondays, he came home on Fridays, and that was pretty much
Mhm.
it. So she raised the 3 of us. And when my brother came around, she goes, "Just give him the toy. If it
Yes.
shuts him up, just give him the toy."
Right. Just keep them safe and fed. We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny watching a parent in the lunchroom because I had 5 or 6 kids come up to me with great awe the way they ask the questions, like, and they look down like, "Are you really Oliver's grandfather?" You know? Like, "Yes, I am. Thank you for asking." But that was a lot of fun. I know there's probably great satisfaction for you in that job, but probably a little bit of frustration too, huh?
Yeah. It was great. I really loved the families that I worked with, and I loved the kids. I think that was probably my favorite part is just that they would be able to trust you with
Yep.
their world. I mean, those are the most important people to them, and so that was really a great privilege.
And did your, sisters, so your 15-year-old nephew, golly, you guys aren't that far apart in age.
No, mm-mm,
Okay, so you didn't have that advice when he was growing up at least, 'cause you hadn't been a
mm-mm,
teacher yet, okay.
mm-hmm,
But,
mm-hmm,
alright, so let's go back to events. So I
okay,
always like people to go be a spectator at something they do as a profession. So
mm-hmm.
you get invited to somebody's wedding. Are you just nitpicking everything?
Um, okay, so yes and no. I think it depends what it is. So if it's for like my personal family or a really close friend or something, then I try to shut that part of my brain off and I
Yep.
try to be completely present. But if it's something for like somebody's lunch series or a different type of event, a
Mhm.
lot of times I'm definitely watching.
Yep.
Even at a concert we went to not that long ago, just the way that they had the flow through the venue, everything. I was like, I think they should do it this way. Like, look at the problems here. If they would have set
Yep.
this up on the opposite side, it would have flowed so much easier. And my husband's like, we're on a date. We're
Yep.
good. I
Yep.
was like, I know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I just think about that depending on the type of event.
Yeah, and I have, facility management in my background, a couple of them involve food, so every restaurant I go in, I look for the health inspector score,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, "Wait, you gotta try" so and usually if they're 96, it's what I learned was it was operational stuff, you weren't logging food in, right? You didn't necessarily have
Mm,
mice in the freezer eating the food you're about to
right.
cook, but still, a 96 is a 96, and then I always look at payroll. I walk into
Mm,
Starbucks, man, it doesn't matter what it is, like, "Alright, so if these people are making this and they got 9 of them and there's 2 customers,
right, right.
but you
Just
can't
always observing.
you sometimes you can't help yourself. Do this.
You really can't sometimes, especially I think a lot of times when it's something so extreme. I go to like these
Yeah.
huge events and I'm like, wow, just I wonder what their insurance policy looks like on this, or I
Yes.
wonder everything like
Yep.
that.
Now you're at an event and you see something that you want to file away for yourself in future events. How do you take that note down if you're at a formal event?
Honestly, most time just by memory, I really
Okay.
just can kind of picture it. Because then I know why it worked so well or
Right.
what the impact was. Most time I can feel how that would work, and so that kind of just comes back out when I'm thinking through other
Mm.
events.
The weddings you do, or if you do any more in the future, do you ever have a discussion with the bridesmaid and the groomsmen on what their speech is gonna be like and what it shouldn't sound like?
So for weddings right now, I only typically do day of coordination. So I'm
Gotcha.
showing up when we're ready to go.
Cool.
But I do always send over a little note about here's some articles I would suggest
Yes.
sharing with the parties. Yeah.
Don't bring up the number of people the bride or groom would fell in love with before they met the person
Right.
they're gonna marry
Right.
that day.
Yes.
And guys think that we think we're funnier than we are. And so, "Oh, let me tell you about Billy's, 17 girlfriends before he met Susie." No, dude.
Right.
No, that's a bad and you can see the family members, right? Just that you see who's you tell who's
Right.
in the family, just watch all the heads go down.
Yeah, because I know where this is going, exactly.
And it's never good.
Never good.
Never, ever, ever good. So, alright, so speaking of weddings, your husband, Ben,
Mhm.
one of my favorite questions to ask is, how did you 2 meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, we met in high school. actually. He played basketball, and then I kept the books for the basketball teams. So we met that way. We did a lot of team travels together. Um, so that part we for sure both tell the same. Um, and then I'm pretty sure that I'm trying to remember too because he thinks it's different, but I think that I reached out first and started talking to him first. Um, but then we just kind of went from there. We were friends for a while. Spent a lot of time hanging out. We had a lot of mutual friends that played basketball too, so we did a lot of things together, and it just kind of developed from there.
Where was the official first date?
The official first date was at Chick-fil-A,
Nice.
and then we went to go see a movie.
Do you remember the movie?
I'm pretty sure it was one of the Hobbit movies. This was before we talked about I didn't like those kind of movies, so that was probably the first and only one that we saw.
Yeah,
Um,
that was my next question.
yeah, that was not a conversation yet. It was fun and it was nice, but those are not typically my style type of movies. So
Yeah,
we learned that after that night.
my wife loves all the Harry Potter stuff, and I think
Mm,
I've watched one in its entirety. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I'm good after the one. I get the gist. It's
yeah,
not my vibe. We're
yeah.
good. Yeah. I'm glad that you like it.
So the other your in-laws, he knew your parents, and your parents knew or knew of you for a while,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
that helps or hurts.
Yeah. I think it depends on the day and the situation, right? It's hard because we've been together for so long. So I think that we've both grown and changed so much.
Yep.
So sometimes I think it might be a little bit harder for those closest to you to understand like the difference of
Yeah.
where you started and where you are now.
When did you know there was something there?
Um, I think it just slowly over time, we just were really great friends and it really connected well. Um, and I think it probably took maybe like a couple years, 2 or 3 years. And I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I don't want to lose. For sure. I think that we matched really well on all of the aspects. He knew a lot sooner than I did, but
Yep.
I didn't think about it like that for a little while.
That's okay. You came around and he wins.
I
So
did.
yeah. Were his stats better at the games where you kept the book?
I probably, I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
say yes.
Yeah.
He had more of a reason, right?
Let me put an extra rebound, another made free throw on there for Ben.
Hopefully, right?
What high school was it?
We went to Wilmington Christian Academy.
Okay. Good place to go to high school?
Yeah. So I went through kindergarten through, and then I think my husband went on and off from
There you go.
kindergarten all the way through graduate high school.
No truth to the rumor he kept getting kicked out and reinstated. We don't want to start that.
Right. No truth to that.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. So what got you to Wake Tech in Raleigh?
So my husband and I moved here for his job. He works for an engineering firm as an AutoCAD technician, and there's a lot of growth for him with this company here. So we moved here, and that's when I was kind of torn. I wanted to go back to school. So before jumping into a job or kind of getting taken away by that, I just decided to jump right into school while I was trying to navigate my way here and figure out exactly what my next steps would be. I wanted to make sure that I knew the vendors. I want to make sure that I knew people here and I felt like I had my ground set here. So I spent my time in Wait Tech while I was kind of finishing up building my business.
All right. Do you miss the beach? I don't even have to ask that.
Honestly, no, I'm not a beach person. I'm really
Really?
not.
So
Really,
you're
yeah.
the one.
I'm the one. I'm the one. I think there's probably a handful of times I've been to the beach in the last 10 years. I just am not a beach person. I just don't. I'd much rather be out on like the farm. I'd much
Yeah.
rather be in the mountains. I'd rather be pretty much anywhere but the beach. Hard when there's just so much traffic where
Yeah.
even though you live there and it's your town, now you have to go pay $10 to park somewhere and hope you find somewhere to park and push all your stuff down and hope there's not enough tourists there that
Yeah.
are doing the things that they shouldn't be doing at the beach because they don't know any different.
Yeah. And I hear you on that. So you'd rather be
Yeah,
in a deer blind than at the beach?
much so.
Okay.
Anywhere else, yeah.
Yeah. Does Ben share your love of outdoors?
Yes, he
Okay.
does.
Right.
He really does. Yeah, so he does a lot of fishing. There's a lot of fishing, a lot of skeet shooting, and then he also does a lot of archery.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hunting,
Mhm.
bow and
Mhm.
arrow hunting.
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's impressive.
Very,
That
very
because
impressive.
yeah, it's one thing to stand there and hit a target. It's another thing to lead a deer from 30 feet out. Yeah,
Right.
very
But yes.
impressive. So, all
So
right,
he just started the hunt like getting into the hunting part of it, but
okay.
he is incredible with specifically the targets. I did not know the world of archery was as large as it is, and there's so many tournaments, and
Oh,
I've learned more about bow and arrows than I think I ever wanted to
yeah.
learn in the
Okay.
last, like, year or 2. Yeah.
Right. Are you decent with a bow and arrow?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
No interest to
So
learn?
he has a really he's an entire foot taller than me, so your bow is custom to how big it's ginormous on me. I need to
Yeah.
be on a youth-sized
Yeah.
bow. So I've tried with his, but it's heavy and it doesn't work. And I've tried with a youth-sized bow, and that worked better, but I'm still
Yeah.
not good. And I don't know that I have the patience to sit there and keep trying for it, to be honest.
You need it just out of college size, right?
Yeah, yeah. I need a much different size. He's a lot taller than me.
All right, so the couple times I've done some research on you when we have talked, you love would you rather question.
I do.
All
Yes.
right, so before we get into that, where did that come from?
I don't know. I think I just always was thinking. I've always been thinking. And I just some like random thoughts would come up where I just would see something, be like, that's weird. I wonder why people did that way. And so I really want to learn behind the scenes or what kind of makes people tick and where their brains are going with something. So I think the would you rather questions, some of them are silly, but some of them are pretty reasonable or have a lot of meaning to them. So I think it just started from that, trying to learn people and understand a little bit more about why other people think so differently sometimes.
Do you have a favorite kind of silly would you rather question that you enjoy asking your friends?
Yes, I do.
What
All
would
right, I'll
that
give it
be?
to you, Mike. Would you rather be blue like a Smurf, or would you rather have to waddle like a penguin?
Um, I'm trying to minimize the mocking and see my comebacks if I was
Mm-hmm.
blue. Yeah. Um, can I still play golf and tennis if I'm blue?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I may go that because I don't think I could play tennis if I waddled.
I know, right?
I was not ready for that type of question, but I see it because it truly has to be different, right?
It does.
Yeah, you can't say,
Does.
would you rather have spaghetti or, steak? Like, oh, okay,
Right.
yeah, so, all right.
Yeah.
Um,
It just throws people for a loop, and I like hearing their reasons for
yeah,
why they choose. The question is irrelevant, but
yeah,
it's just fun
yeah.
to hear people's thought process behind it.
Yeah, and I ask a lot of questions, and it drives my family nuts, but sometimes I say, just ask the question to hear what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn something about them. You may not learn something
Mm-hmm.
factually, but
Mm-hmm.
you will learn something about them based on their answer. So people are afraid to ask questions. Just ask a question, see what the answer is.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to ask questions by
Yeah.
any means.
No, me neither. I love asking questions, drives people nuts. And every now and then I'll ask somebody a question and my wife will go, you already know the answer to that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm see if it changes.
Right. Yeah, you never know.
See if something new is added. Yeah. So if there's a celebrity planning a big event, whose celebrity event would you rather plan?
I would love to plan something for Luke Combs. He's by far my favorite
All right.
artist. Everything. I loved him even a long time ago, really before he took off.
Yep.
So I would definitely do something for him. I'd love to.
Right. And he redid Fast Cars. That's the Luke, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a good remake because that's a good song.
Very good.
That's a good
Very good.
song in his remake, and I know she was very pleased with
Mhm.
how that came out. Is he the Luke that got in the car wreck?
I don't think so.
Is that the other
Not that
Luke?
I know of.
Go check that. It may have been Luke Combs. His girlfriend posted something. They were in a car wreck. They're fine, but I
Okay.
don't. I'm an older country guy, music guy, but some of the new ones I've heard of. But my wife
Yeah.
listens to them more than I do. But they're a little bit more pop.
They very much are. Luke
Yeah,
Combs is the only current artist that I really enjoy. I'm a 90s country
yeah,
forever,
yeah.
but Luke Combs is just one of the only ones that I really like from
Okay,
today's music.
all right. Um, Trying to think of what else. You talked about you. Oh, so you visited your family in Illinois.
Mhm.
Did you do any hunting and fishing and stuff up there, or they don't
No,
do
we
that?
didn't. I went up there with my dad. Just him and I drove up there,
Okay.
and he helped my grandpa fix some things on their barn that my grandpa wanted to fix. So spent a little bit of time just outside. They were working on it, so that was nice. And then we drove around to see a bunch of the family farmlands and kind of hear my grandpa's side of the
Nice.
stories from where they grew up. They've lived there forever,
Oh,
so we did a
those are the
lot of
best.
that. Those
Yep.
are the very best.
Yep. So does that make you a Bears and or a Cubs fan?
Yes, if I cared more about sports than I would, but I
Okay,
don't care enough about sports. Yeah,
fair enough. But your dad does.
my dad does. I know enough to keep up with the Bears and the Cubs. I know enough to kind of know what's going on with it. My husband is really into sports, so I
Okay.
hear a lot of it from there. So I can kind of understand what everybody's talking
Okay.
about and add a little bit, but I don't need to keep up like everybody else does.
All right. Well, there's one of your events for Cubs fans or Bears fans in the Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get together for a big watch party. Donations go to fill in the blank. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be great.
Get some items to auction off. Yes, write
Yeah,
to some of the former players if they'll autograph a jersey. Oh yeah.
that would be great. I've always wanted to do. I was more in the restaurant world. I think it'd be cool to open a like a cul-de-sac type thing of some of a really good Chicago style pizza place,
Mhm.
the Portillo's restaurant chain. I don't know if you've ever been there, and
Yep.
then the Oberweis ice cream chain. Like those are really big things. At least that our family always hits
Okay.
when we're up there. And I
Yep.
think that would be nice to bring a piece of that back here because there's just nothing
And
like that here.
it's funny when you because my wife is a Texan. Both of our boys were born there. I had nothing to do with the state of Texas till I moved there in 1983 for my first job out of college.
Okay.
Huge fan of the state. Love the passion. Say what you want. Not making any stances, but you could tell a Texan.
Yeah.
You can tell a Texan. But so we love Bucky's and Whataburger
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
Schlotzsky's. And in California, they love In-N-Out Burger. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you're like, "Oh man, you got to go try this. I was raised on this," and then your friend eats it, and they went, "That was good."
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Right. This was everything when I was growing up, right? Yeah.
I mean, the ice cream's like, "Oh, Mike, you're gonna love this. It's best ever." Like, not
Yeah,
Bluebell, but
right.
it's good. Yeah. So
They don't understand it.
no, no, but the connection we have with food from where we grew up, or
Mhm.
later years stuff like that is always interesting. And most of it is pretty good, but it's funny how passionate we get, and then when people disagree
Very.
with us, oh, you don't know good food.
Right?
So anyway, all right. So one last tip before we go: somebody's thinking about doing any type of event, what do they kind of need to think about? What kind of order? Where would they bring you in? What do they need to get ready on their end?
I think first and foremost, figuring out your budget. Realistically, what are you looking to spend? And then also spend some time knowing if that's an option. A lot of people want a Hollywood production type of event on a budget that does not align with that. And so just knowing what the going rate is, especially the last few years, everything has changed so much
Yeah.
with inflation. So really figuring out your budget and what you're comfortable with. The second thing that I would focus on is the atmosphere and the venue. You want both of those kind of tie hand in hand. A lot of people love to be out at a farm and they love a farm event. Some people only want to have events at a hotel, and some people want neither one of those and they want something completely different. And so, really kind of looking at the overall atmosphere of your event, the vibe of your event, and kind of what the goal is with that would be the second one.
Yeah, we were in Columbia, South Carolina 2 weekends ago. My niece's husband was finishing up his drill sergeant training at Fort Jackson. And so he
Okay.
had Saturday off and we're in Charlotte, and so we drove down there. And there's an old airport right there. This was a converted airplane hangar that's now a brewery. And it was
Okay.
cool because
Awesome.
you open up doors on both sides. You get, the weather coming in. It was a pretty day. Kids are running around. There's stuff to do outside. So there's something. You're right. There's something to be said for picking the right venue.
Very much so. I think it
Yep.
really impacts that. It's hard to go through and pick your decor or your
Yep.
colors, and even sometimes your food if you don't know where your budget is and then what your venue looks like.
Yep. So pizza's always good, folks, but not at every
Pizza's
event.
always
But
good.
yeah, pizza's always good. So,
Barbecue's always good.
oh yeah, yeah,
Anything like that.
yep.
Some people get really tied away and carried away with their food on what they are looking for, and a lot of times something simple is the best.
If they ask you, do you recommend a buffet style or a sit down and serve style meal?
I think it depends on the event, but typically I prefer a buffet. Honestly, I think that you get people moving. A lot of
Yeah.
times, people, especially if you don't have a seating arrangement, a lot of times people just kind of hang out where they are and they never get up and mingle. But if you move through the line, then you're more likely to come next to tables and talk to people as you go. You're in the line with other people. You also get the
Mhm.
opportunity to talk to those serving, so you learn a little bit more about their company and their
Yep.
food. I just think I typically like that more for the personal aspect of it.
I agree with all of that, and I also would like to add on, you can go back for seconds, nobody looks at you funny, so
True. There's
I like
always
that.
that option too.
I like
Nobody
that
knows
too.
if it's your first or
Yeah.
second.
And I always love these events where there's 18 people. No, you go first. No, you go ahead. At some point in time, every now and then, I just go, you know what? I'll go first. I'm not waiting on this.
Yeah.
I don't like when
We
people
need people like that,
when they try to out nice each other. It's like just get in line, get your food. So
right?
we've been putting Riley's phone number on the screen here during the show, and your website is RileyJordanEvents.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, do not overthink getting an event coordinator. It's not going to cost you $81,000, nothing like that. It's somebody to take the stress off of you so you can enjoy the day and you don't have to go around micromanaging all the details. So it's worth a phone call to Riley just to talk it through, whether it's a birthday party, a golf tournament, a wedding, whatever it is. You need to talk to somebody like Riley who's hands-on, on the ground, feet up, boots on the ground, taking care of the stuff you don't need to so you can greet all the guests that you took time inviting and say hi and how they've been. So anyways, so give Riley a call. Riley, thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep, good luck with everything. And so I have takeaway. I have a little note on each show, just try to remember. And so I had 3 sisters that you have, but she coordinated her own wedding. That's kind of my takeaway from all this. So
Yeah.
I like that. So I'm sure there's more stories, but anyways, when we see each other again, we can chat some more about it like that. So anyways, thank you for being on the show, Riley.
Yes, thank you for having me so much.
And we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.